The weight you carried in silence was heavier than most people will ever know. There were days when you smiled while your heart was exhausted, days when you continued showing up even though everything inside you wanted to rest, days when disappointment followed disappointment, and it felt as though every effort led to another closed door. Some people looked at your life and assumed you were losing. They saw the setbacks, but not the lessons. They saw the delays, but not the preparation. They saw the wounds, but not the healing that was slowly taking place beneath the surface. What they did not understand is that some of the most important work God does happens where no one else can see it. While others were measuring your progress by visible results, God was shaping your character through invisible victories. While others focused on what had fallen apart, God was strengthening what could never be taken away. The enemy tried to convince you that every disappointment was proof that you were forgotten. He tried to make every rejection feel permanent. He tried to turn every lonely season into evidence that you had been abandoned. Yet through every difficult chapter, something remarkable continued to happen. You kept moving forward, maybe not quickly, maybe not perfectly, maybe not with confidence every day, but you kept going. That matters more than you realize. The fact that you are still standing after everything you have faced says more about your strength than any title, achievement, or recognition ever could. There were battles you fought that nobody witnessed. There were tears that fell in private. There were moments when you questioned yourself, questioned your future, and wondered whether all your effort would ever lead somewhere meaningful. Yet even in those moments, a quiet strength remained alive within you. Sometimes it was barely noticeable. Sometimes it felt like nothing more than a small spark buried beneath exhaustion, but it never disappeared. That spark kept you moving one step at a time. It carried you through seasons that should have broken you. It helped you survive experiences that many people never understood. The enemy wanted your struggles to define you. God used those same struggles to develop you. The enemy wanted your disappointments to convince you that your story was ending. God used those disappointments to redirect you towards something better. The enemy wanted your loneliness to make you bitter. God used your loneliness to teach you how valuable your own soul truly is. There is a difference between being broken and being built. From the outside, the two can sometimes look similar. Both involve change. Both involve discomfort. Both involve letting go of what once felt familiar. Yet one leads to destruction, while the other leads to transformation. The enemy tried to break your spirit. God has been building your resilience. The enemy tried to destroy your confidence. God has been building your wisdom. The enemy tried to fill your heart with hopelessness. God has been building your faith one difficult day at a time. Looking back now, there are things you survived that once seemed impossible. There were moments when you thought you had reached your limit, moments when you believed you had nothing left to give, yet somehow you found the strength to continue. That strength did not come from having an easy life. It came from enduring a difficult one. It came from choosing not to surrender when surrender would have been understandable. It came from continuing to believe that your life still held value even when circumstances suggested otherwise. You carried burdens that few people ever noticed. You absorbed disappointments without making them everyone else's responsibility. You endured seasons of uncertainty while still trying to encourage others. Your kindness cost you more than most people will ever understand. There were times when people misunderstood your intentions. There were times when your loyalty was not returned. There were times when your generosity was met with indifference. Yet you continued to be who you are. That is not weakness, that is strength. The world often celebrates loud victories and visible success, but some of the greatest victories happen in silence. Every time you chose forgiveness instead of bitterness, you won a battle. Every time you chose hope instead of despair, you won a battle. Every time you got back up after being knocked down, you won a battle. Some of your greatest victories happened when nobody was watching. God saw them all. God saw the moments when you wanted to quit but did not. God saw the prayers you whispered when words were difficult to find. God saw the tears that nobody else noticed. God saw the nights when you lay awake carrying worries you never shared with anyone. None of it was invisible to him. None of it was wasted. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. Every challenge taught you something. Every setback revealed something. Every delay developed something within you that comfort never could. Sometimes people assume growth happens during moments of success. Often the deepest growth happens during moments of struggle. When everything is easy, it is difficult to discover what truly lives inside you. When everything becomes difficult, your deeper strength begins to emerge. That is why many of the strongest people carry stories filled with hardship. Their strength was forged through experience. Their wisdom was earned through endurance. Their compassion was born from understanding pain firsthand. You may not fully recognize how much you have grown, because growth often feels ordinary while it is happening. Day after day, small changes accumulate. Little lessons become lasting wisdom. Quiet perseverance becomes lasting strength. Then one day you realize you are no longer the person who entered the storm. You have become someone stronger, wiser, calmer, and more resilient. The enemy wanted your difficult season to leave you defeated. Instead, it left you prepared to handle challenges that once would have overwhelmed you, prepared to recognize your worth without depending on the approval of others, prepared to understand that your value was never determined by how many people celebrated you. The opinions of others can change quickly. One day they support you, another day they doubt you. One day they praise you, another day they criticize you. If your identity depends entirely on their recognition, your peace will constantly be vulnerable. God has been teaching you something deeper. He has been teaching you that your worth remains intact, whether others see it or not. You are worth far more than the moments that tried to make you feel small. You are worth far more than the failures that disappointed you. You are worth far more than the rejection that wounded you. Your story has value even if it did not unfold the way you expected. Some chapters were painful. Some chapters were confusing. Some chapters felt unfair. Yet those chapters are not the entire story. They are simply part of the journey. The future is not determined by your hardest moments. It is shaped by what you become because of them. The enemy focused on your wounds. God focused on your healing. The enemy focused on your losses. God focused on your growth. The enemy focused on discouraging you. God focused on preparing you. There is something powerful about reaching a point where you stop measuring your life only by what went wrong and begin recognizing everything that went right despite the challenges. You are still here. Your heart still carries hope. Your spirit still carries purpose. Your faith still carries life. Those are not small things. Those are signs of extraordinary resilience. They are evidence that what God placed within you is stronger than what tried to defeat you. The road may not have been easy, but every step has contributed to the person you are becoming. Every challenge has strengthened your foundation. Every lesson has deepened your understanding. Every difficult season has revealed another layer of courage you did not know you possessed. The enemy tried to break you, but God has been building something within you that cannot be easily shaken. If this message touched something deep within your heart and reminded you that your struggles were not meaningless, subscribe to the channel and continue walking alongside a community centered on faith, healing, purpose, and encouragement. Sometimes the right message arrives exactly when it is needed, and your journey forward deserves reminders that you have never been forgotten and that your strength still matters. There comes a moment in many difficult journeys when a person realizes that survival itself was a miracle, not because the pain disappeared overnight, not because every prayer was answered exactly as expected, and not because every wound instantly healed, but because despite everything that happened, the heart continued beating with hope. You may not have felt strong during those seasons. In fact, there were probably many days when strength was the last word you would have used to describe yourself. You felt tired. You felt disappointed. You felt stretched beyond what seemed reasonable. Yet one of the greatest misconceptions about strength is the belief that strong people never feel overwhelmed. The truth is that strong people often feel overwhelmed and continue moving forward anyway. They feel the weight of uncertainty and still take the next step. They feel discouraged and still choose to believe that tomorrow can be better than today. They feel exhausted and still find enough courage to keep going. That is the kind of strength that has been developing inside you. The enemy wanted you to interpret every hardship as evidence that you were failing. God was using those same experiences to reveal what was already hidden within you. Every challenge exposed a deeper level of perseverance. Every disappointment uncovered a greater capacity for faith. Every setback revealed a resilience that comfort never could have produced. There were seasons when it seemed like everyone else was moving ahead while you remained stuck in place. You watched opportunities appear for others. You watched doors open for people around you. You watched lives seem to unfold effortlessly while yours felt delayed. Those moments can create a special kind of loneliness because they tempt a person to believe they have somehow been overlooked. Yet what if the delay was not evidence of abandonment? What if the delay was preparation? What if the season that felt empty was actually creating space for something deeper than immediate success? Some of the strongest foundations are built slowly. Some of the most meaningful transformations happen quietly. God often works beneath the surface long before visible change appears. A seed spends a long time developing underground before anyone sees evidence of growth. In the same way, many of the most important changes in your life have been taking place where human eyes could not observe them. Your patience was being strengthened. Your character was being refined. Your dependence on external validation was being challenged. Your understanding of your own worth was being rebuilt. Those are not small developments. They are life-changing ones. The enemy hoped that discouragement would cause you to walk away from your purpose. Instead, every difficult season taught you how valuable your purpose truly is. Every obstacle forced you to discover strengths you did not know existed. Every painful chapter deepened your ability to understand others who are hurting. Sometimes people wonder why they had to endure so much. They look at their scars and wish they could erase entire chapters of their lives. Yet many of the qualities they treasure most about themselves were born in those very chapters. Compassion often comes from suffering. Wisdom often comes from mistakes. Patience often comes from waiting. Courage often comes from fear that was faced rather than avoided. The enemy saw pain as a weapon. God transformed it into preparation. That does not mean every painful experience was good. It means that God refused to let those experiences have the final word. There is a profound difference. The difficult things you endured were real. The heartbreak was real. The rejection was real. The loneliness was real. The disappointment was real. But those experiences do not possess the authority to define your destiny. They are chapters. They are not the conclusion. Too many people spend years believing that the worst thing that happened to them is the truest thing about them. They define themselves by the rejection, the failure, the betrayal, or the loss. God sees something different. He sees the person who survived it. He sees the growth that emerged through it. He sees the courage that developed because of it. He sees possibilities that pain could never erase. The fact that you are still willing to hope after disappointment is remarkable. The fact that you are still willing to care after being hurt is remarkable. The fact that you are still willing to believe after experiencing setbacks is remarkable. Never underestimate how powerful those qualities are. A hardened heart may appear strong, but a heart that remains kind after suffering possesses a different kind of strength entirely. You continued to love. You continued to help. You continued to show compassion. You continued to believe that goodness still matters. That is evidence that the enemy failed to accomplish his ultimate goal. He wanted your suffering to make you cynical. He wanted your disappointments to convince you that hope was foolish. He wanted your wounds to convince you that trust was impossible. Yet here you are, still carrying faith, still carrying kindness, still carrying a desire for something meaningful. That is not weakness, that is victory. Some victories are not announced with applause. Some victories happen quietly inside the human heart. They happen when a person chooses forgiveness over resentment. They happen when a person chooses perseverance over surrender. They happen when a person chooses faith over fear. Those victories may be invisible to the world, but they are incredibly significant. Heaven notices them. God notices them. The growth happening inside you matters. The healing happening inside you matters. The lessons you have learned matter. The sacrifices you made matter. Nothing was unseen. Nothing was ignored. Nothing was wasted. One day you may look back and recognize that the very season you wanted to escape became one of the most important seasons of your life. Not because it was enjoyable, but because it transformed you. It taught you how to stand when everything around you seemed uncertain. It taught you how to trust when answers were delayed. It taught you how to keep believing when circumstances offered little encouragement. Those lessons will remain with you long after the difficult season ends. They will strengthen you in future challenges. They will guide you through future decisions. They will remind you that you have already survived things you once thought would destroy you. The enemy tried to break your confidence by showing you every reason to give up. God has been rebuilding your confidence on something stronger than circumstances. He has been teaching you that your value does not rise and fall with temporary outcomes. He has been teaching you that your purpose is bigger than your current situation. He has been teaching you that your future is not limited by your past. There is still more ahead of you than behind you. There is still healing to experience. There is still growth to discover. There is still purpose to fulfill. There is still joy to encounter. There is still peace to receive. The difficult road you traveled was not meaningless. It was shaping someone capable of carrying wisdom, strength, compassion, and faith into the next chapter of life. If these words encouraged your spirit and reminded you that God is still working even in seasons that seem confusing, subscribe to the channel and continue receiving messages that strengthen faith, nurture healing, and encourage personal growth. You do not have to walk every difficult season alone, and sometimes a message of hope arrives exactly when the heart needs it most. The most powerful part of your story may not be what happened to you. It may be who you became because of what happened to you. When people look back on difficult seasons, they often focus on the losses, the disappointments, the doors that never opened, and the plans that never unfolded the way they imagined. Those things are real, and they deserve to be acknowledged. Pain should never be ignored or minimized. Yet there is another side to the story that is equally important. Hidden within every challenge was a transformation. Hidden within every setback was a lesson. Hidden within every difficult season was evidence that God was still working even when you could not see the full picture. The enemy wanted you to believe that hardship was proof that your life had less value. God used hardship to reveal how much strength was already living within you. Think about how many moments you survived that once seemed impossible. Think about the seasons when you believed you had reached the end of your ability to endure. Think about the nights when worry stole your peace and uncertainty filled your thoughts. Think about the mornings when getting out of bed felt like a victory. You made it through all of those moments, not perfectly, not without tears, not without questions. But you made it through them. The fact that you are here today is evidence of resilience that deserves to be recognized. Too often, people overlook their own growth because it happened gradually. They focus on how far they still want to go instead of appreciating how far they have already come. Yet if you could speak to the version of yourself who stood at the beginning of your hardest season, that person would probably be amazed by the strength you now possess. The wisdom you carry today was earned through experience. The patience you carry today was developed through waiting. The compassion you carry today was deepened through understanding pain. The courage you carry today was forged in moments when fear tried to take control. None of those qualities appeared overnight. They were built one difficult day at a time. That is why the enemy's efforts ultimately failed. He thought the pressure would destroy you. Instead, it revealed your character. He thought the delays would discourage you. Instead, they taught you endurance. He thought the rejection would diminish your worth. Instead, it taught you to find your value in something deeper than human approval. There is tremendous freedom in reaching the point where you stop allowing other people to determine your sense of worth. Some people never recognized what you carried inside. Some people misunderstood your intentions. Some people walked away before they understood your heart. That hurt. It was painful. It left questions that may never receive complete answers. Yet their inability to see your value never changed the reality of your value. A diamond remains valuable even when buried beneath dirt. A masterpiece remains beautiful even when hidden behind a curtain. In the same way, your worth remained intact even during seasons when it felt unseen. God never based your value on how many people applauded you. He never measured your significance according to popularity, status, or recognition. He sees the things that others miss. He sees the kindness that went unnoticed. He sees the sacrifices that were never acknowledged. He sees the battles that were fought in silence. He sees the faith that remained alive when circumstances offered little encouragement. Every act of perseverance mattered. Every choice to continue mattered. Every moment of faith mattered. Sometimes people imagine that purpose arrives through dramatic events. Sometimes purpose is revealed through ordinary faithfulness. It is revealed through continuing to be kind when kindness feels costly. It is revealed through continuing to love when disappointment would make bitterness easier. It is revealed through continuing to trust that your life has meaning even when the path ahead remains unclear. Those choices shape a life of depth and significance. The enemy wanted you focused only on what was lost. God has been teaching you to recognize what remains. Your strength remains, your faith remains, your capacity to hope remains, your ability to love remains, your purpose remains, your future remains. Those are powerful truths. They are reminders that difficult seasons may influence part of your story, but they do not control the ending. There is still beauty ahead, there is still healing ahead, there are still moments of peace ahead, there are still opportunities for growth, connection, and joy ahead. Life may not unfold exactly according to human expectations, but that does not mean it cannot unfold in meaningful and beautiful ways. Some of the greatest blessings arrive through paths we never would have chosen for ourselves. Looking back, you may discover that certain closed doors protected you, certain delays prepared you, certain disappointments redirected you, certain lonely seasons strengthened you. At the time, those experiences felt confusing. In hindsight, they reveal a wisdom that was difficult to see in the moment. That is why hope remains so important. Hope is not pretending that life is easy. Hope is believing that difficult circumstances are not the entire story. Hope is recognizing that God continues working even when the outcome remains unclear. Hope is understanding that your present challenges are temporary chapters, not permanent identities. The enemy wanted your struggles to convince you that nothing good could come from your pain. Yet some of your greatest victories happened in silence when nobody was watching. Some of your greatest growth happened during seasons that received no applause. Some of your greatest breakthroughs happened inside your heart, long before they appeared in your circumstances. Those victories matter. They reveal a strength that cannot be measured by external success alone. They reveal a resilience that circumstances could not destroy. They reveal a faith that continued breathing through difficult seasons. They reveal a person who refused to surrender despite every reason to do so. God has not forgotten you. He has not overlooked your sacrifices. He has not ignored your prayers. He has not wasted your pain. The seasons that tested you were also shaping who you were becoming. Every lesson learned, every burden carried, every tear shed, and every step taken in faith contributed to the person standing here today. That person is stronger than they realize, wiser than they realize, more resilient than they realize, more valuable than they realize. The enemy tried to break you, but God was building you. He was building courage where fear once lived. He was building wisdom where confusion once ruled. He was building peace where anxiety once dominated. He was building strength where weakness seemed overwhelming. Most importantly, he was building a deeper understanding that your life has meaning beyond temporary struggles, and that your story still carries purpose beyond every setback. If this message helped you remember your value and recognize the strength God has been building within you through every season, subscribe to the channel so you can continue receiving encouragement rooted in faith, healing, perseverance, and hope. May each message remind you that your journey matters, your growth matters, and that even in difficult seasons, you are never walking alone.